Everyone, and welcome back to the Cocoa Nomad channel. If you are new here, I talk about location and financial independence, my travels. I share tips and tricks, practices to help you make a living and a life abroad. I do a lot of experiments. So stick around, I have a lot of good stuff. And this is the Retrospective. I try to do this every 2 weeks. I missed a week after my vacation, where I go over the past couple of weeks, my successes, any setbacks or lessons learned, and then I dive into what's coming up next or what I'm excited about. So let's jump right in. So these past couple of weeks, after I came back from vacation, I dove right back in. I was the keynote speaker at the 360 iDev conference. This year it was online. It's a conference for iOS developers, Mac developers. It's my favorite conference, even more than WWDC. I've talked about that. And it was a great experience being the keynote speaker. I definitely, being the first time, it was something that I kept worrying about and going through my head and going through on paper. I'd actually written like 2 outlines for 2 separate speeches because I wasn't sure which direction I wanted to go in. But then I talked to John, the organizer, and he gave me some feedback, and I sort of drilled down some more on that. And because the speech was about 40 minutes, I think I came in about 35 minutes, just kept going through it and practicing and working through it. Not written down, like I didn't write a formal speech like you would see for like a politician or something like that. I tend to just like to have notes, and then I speak to those different topics and make sure that the topics flow together. And so that's the way that I work, just because I find that if I do it another way, it sounds really stilted and it doesn't sound genuine, and I don't think that way and I don't behave that way and I don't want to come across that way. The only time I read something word for word is if I'm doing some voiceover and I read the script. I stick to the script. You know, they don't typically want you to go off book. So that was great. The craziest surprise about this was I didn't even realize it was a paying gig. It was after I submitted the video, since it was online, and I didn't want to take a chance on lag time or poor internet stopping me from getting it uploaded or interrupting the speech. I just pre-recorded it and sent it, and then I got a message from John saying, "Oh yeah, by the way, this is a paid gig." And then he sent me some money. And I was like, "Oh, this is amazing." I actually went into that totally willing to do it for free because, again, it's my favorite conference and I love being there. So that was the first like really big thing. It was really great. The second one is that I started on Redbubble and Amazon merch this month in August. And so I started putting up some designs. I had some ideas. I'm not a designer by trade. I mean, I do some basic design in the apps that I write, but usually they're really, really simple. I don't do a lot of graphical stuff. I typically would tend on using like libraries for icons and things like that. I don't create icons for the apps. And so my focus has typically been on just making sure the layout is correct and making sure like the typography or the sizing of the text is correct and it sort of draws attention the right way. But I've always wanted to be like a designer. I love that side of it. I sketch a lot on paper. I'm not the best artist drawer. I don't think that's the right word, but anyway, not great. I have a nephew who is amazing though, and it's just like I really just wanted to shout out Malik because ever since he was a kid, he could always draw. His first major drawing was on my car, but we'll let that go. But yeah, it was a thing where like I really wanted to explore this side. It's a creative outlet and it's different from coding. You know, like I can be creative in some ways in coding, but there's really a lot of constraints in terms of like, okay, I can use a particular pattern, or this is how I can solve a problem, and those kinds of things where if I'm debugging, trying to sort of suss out where the problem is. But it's not the same as like having an idea, thinking of a funny concept or something like that I think will resonate with people, and making a sketch and then making it live and then putting on a product that people can buy. I love having things that people will use and buy, which is why I love writing apps. I like that feedback loop. I love people enjoying something that I created or helped create. So that's good. But this is like, I can do that times 1,000. Like literally, I can create 1,000 designs and put them out there. And the great thing about it is I started doing this, I think, at the beginning of this month, August. It is almost the end of August. And I got great feedback. I posted some designs on Facebook, and I know how that goes. It's like your friends go like, "Hey, that's great, thumbs up," and then they don't buy it, which is fine. But I actually did get a sale from one of my friends. He actually did buy a design. I actually bought four of the t-shirts, and then my aunt loved it, and I didn't expect her to buy. I was going to gift them to her because she loved it, and she got them I got some designs for her and her friends, and then I posted a couple more, and they got organic sales. So just this past week alone, 14 sales on Amazon merch. And a friend of mine bought a photo print for the one that I did on Redbubble, and I sold one on Redbubble as well. So I'm off to a decent start. I mean, I don't have any like delusions of like, oh man, I'm gonna quit my job, which I don't already have anyway. I'm a contractor, freelancer, but like I'm gonna do this full time. Like, no, it's just something that I love doing. It's a lot of fun. Every time I come up with what I think is something that's funny, I typically just make a Facebook post and see how many laughs I get. But now I'm like, maybe I'll put it on a t-shirt and see if it resonates with more people. So that's the big thing. It's got me super duper excited. I'm going to continue to do more of that. I sort of challenged myself this past month to do 100 designs, and I'll talk a little bit about that in the lessons learned section. And finally, a big win. It's not really something I did. It's just something that's happening. And that is, I live in Medellin, Colombia, and we are finally going to be opening up again in a few days. So on September 1st, I can go outside again. If you saw the healthy hustle habits video, then you saw that like one of mine is naps, and that's a big part of my day and my routine, but so are walks. I love to walk in the morning. I walk by the university. I did a video, I just haven't posted it yet, and I'll have that there and link it in the show notes where you can see where I talk about that routine and the benefits of it. So I'm going to be able to do that again, and I'm really excited about it. Restaurants are going to be opening up. I think open air theaters and the malls. Well, some of the malls are already open because I went to the mall like 3 or 4 weeks ago. But this is good. It's just really good to see like finally the city is coming back alive again, and people are going to be able to go out. And a lot of people are back to work, but I'm hoping that it actually allows everyone else who needs to get out and get to work and do what they need to do to return, because it's much needed. So I'm happy about it, and it's just amazing. On to lessons learned. So the lessons learned thing, I said I would talk a little bit about like the first lesson is just that the design process for POD, for like creating this stuff, is not, it can be fast if you like just throw text and then throw things out there, but there's more to it than that. Like I've been learning a lot more about keywords and proper positioning to understand like, hey, this idea is funny, but who is this t-shirt for? Who is gonna buy this? Why would they buy it? Is it something that people are looking for? And that's what I've been learning. Tools online I've been using to sort of research and look at Amazon, look at some other tools, Google Trends and things like that, to sort of learn like how to find how much interest there is in the marketplace for something. And the long-term benefit of this is not just to do it for teas, but to really go back. I've really been frustrated with like app sales, and I just think I've done a very poor job of marketing and finding the audience for software that I write. And so the goal is to take a lot of this knowledge that I'm learning and these shorter feedback loops, because it's a lot cheaper for me to create a t-shirt than it is for me to write an app. Like I can turn a t-shirt around, hour or two max, whereas, hour or two for an app, I barely can get a couple of screens up and maybe get a general flow. That's about it. So, and I've put a lot of time into multiple apps that I'm just not making any money on. I've already made more money from t-shirts this year than I've made from app sales this year. So that is just, it's mind-boggling to me as a programmer, but I get it. People are conditioned not to pay for apps. T-shirts, not so much. So that was a lesson learned. I'm going to continue to get better at it, continue to improve, continue to learn and grow in that area, and then just apply it to any product. Basically, I think that's the real gift. Is later, once I learn these things, I can pick any product that I want to sell that I think has value and that people find an audience and market it to them. The second setback or lesson learned, I have to say, is one of the reasons why there hadn't been a video. I am someone who, for years and years and years, struggled with manic depression. And it took years before I actually got help and learned how to deal with it, learn how to manage it. And if you are or have, please get professional help, like professional help. And it won't always be the same depending on who your therapist, who are you working with. Some people, depending on the severity, have to take medication. Other people, like myself, just went through years of intense psychotherapy because I was a person who said medication is a deal breaker. I just refused to do it. But it comes with challenges, and that is that you still understand that like I have these practices and tools, and you have to use them. And that's the thing I wanted to illustrate today, is just that you have to recognize it's something that you don't grow out of, and you have to learn how to deal with it. And if you have the tools, you have to use them, and you have to sort of build your life around having to manage that. And I'm not knocking medication. I want to say that full stop. I'm not saying that. It's just, for me personally, it was just something that I was honestly just scared of. Like I was scared of what it would do, how it would affect me, and I didn't want to deal with that. So, but I just encourage anybody if you're dealing with that. And I know a lot of people right now, it's way more stressful. And I had gotten to a point in my life where my bouts were not that bad. Like I don't get super duper high, and I wasn't having like the super long low periods where just like, I mean, back in the day when I was in my 20s, man, it would just like be 5, 6, 7 days. I would just be in a dark room and I wouldn't come out. I wouldn't call anybody. I wouldn't speak to anybody. My friends would be like, you just disappear. And I never would talk about it. It took until about maybe the last couple of years where I'd even talk about this with people. But I just felt like this was important to share so that other people can know, like, you're not going through this alone. You're not the only person to deal with this. And people who are seemingly doing great are not necessarily doing great. And I know that a lot of people are having many more issues that they're dealing with. I'm in a fortunate position where I'm working and living abroad, and from the outside, it looks like great, right? It's just like, oh man, it's like you live in this beautiful sunny place. You go to beaches all the time. You can go wherever you want. But it doesn't remove those kinds of issues that you may have to deal with. So health issues don't go away just because you change location, get a new passport stamp. That's just not how that works. So I just want to be important that wherever you are, just make sure you have a support system and that you have the tools that you need and use them. I mean, the tools are sitting in the toolbox. They don't do you any good. So I think it's important. It was an important reminder for myself this past week and a half. So just wanted to share that with you and hope that it benefits you in some way. Like I said, if you are struggling, please get help. People are out there that are qualified and they're able to help you. Someone helped me, literally changed my life. So I'm gonna say, I wouldn't even be sitting in this chair right now if it wasn't for my therapist. So I just want to give a shout out to him. So it was really good. And then we'll move on to what's next. I'm looking at my paper over here, so I'm sorry the lean in here is like that Zoom we got. I'm gonna go outside. That's what I'm excited about more than anything else. It's just I can go back to walking outside. I love being outside and just walking around, not even having anything in particular to do. I just like that part of my day. It breaks it up really well. I don't like go to gyms. I know gyms are going to be opening up. I have zero interest in doing that. Although I'm hankering for a heavy bag. I really do miss punching a heavy bag. Like I need some bag work for real. I actually need a trainer. If anybody that's watching this video, if you're in Medellin and you're a trainer for boxing or Muay Thai, like hit me up, man. Like or woman. I know I've had teachers that are both men and women. So please hit me up in the comments because I'm like, yo, I will come and train. I'm in the Laureles, Medellin area. So just let me know. I need to get some work in. I got to get that work. So that's it for today and the retrospective. That's what I'm doing. Have a wonderful, amazing week. And I will get these other healthy hustle habit videos out. I got a few more coming, just different habits and how I structure my day, but I wanted to break them up because I'm like, I didn't want to do a long video of just like, these are the 6 or 7 things I do. It's like, nah. It's like one at a time and just kind of talk about the benefits of each. Hope that it helps you. Hope that this retro helps you. Please like, subscribe, comment again. Even if you don't have a recommendation for a heavy bag or a gym or a trainer, that's fine. You just want to say something about your progress you're making, what you're doing, what you're excited about, what's coming up, or successes that you've had in the past 2 weeks. Actually, I'd like to hear that as well. So thanks a lot, everyone, and I will talk to you next time.